I'm Dr. Kim Byrd-Rider, physical therapist, and I'm here with clinical dietitian Mr. Christopher Tuna, and we're here in Bethel, Alaska, and there's some pictures running behind us if you care to watch as you listen to this amazing information. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
So my name is Chris. I'm a dietitian here at YK in Bethel, Alaska. I cover the inpatient side here as well as outpatient, as well as working with our elders at long-term care. And I'm very happy to be here today.
Me too. So what is the difference between a clinical dietitian and a nutritionist?
So the primary difference between a nutritionist and a dietitian is that a dietitian is a protected title. So that's something that's regulated by standards both in the United States and in Canada. So a nutritionist is a title that somebody can hold, a position someone can hold without any standardized training. A dietitian, however, is recognized in both in North America for meeting certain standards of education and competency. So you're certainly going to reach a standard of consistency with a dietitian that you may not see with nutritionists.
So what I'm hearing as a layman to nutrition is the dietitians have standardized education behind them, and so
yes,
we love that you're with us. Yeah, you might get more of a variation of information from a nutritionist. Great. Well, we need to get started into the work, but first I want to hear your backstory. So I did tell everyone that you're getting married.
Yes. I'm getting married this year. Oh yeah, it's already the new year.
Yes, so, 2023.
Right. So I'm getting married June 10th of this year to my lovely fiance. And kind of my story is, growing up, I was always somebody that had weight struggles, and I felt like moving on to college, working with people, working as a personal trainer, kind of gave me a lot of fulfillment, and kind of my life's mission has kind of been to kind of help people reach their goals, their weight loss goals, their health goals, and that's kind of been where I've been at for the past 10, 12 years now. So
excellent. I've struggled with my weight my whole life too, so I have tried every single diet on the planet, and then I've also lost 60 pounds at a time because each child I gained 60 pounds and had to work it all off and diet it all. By diet we mean a way of life. We're all about lifestyle medicine, nutrition,
right.
And so I've worked it off as well, and tried everything. So you're going to get a little bit of our experience with those diets too. But you actually have an education and the research behind it. That's why you're here, which is so great. And just to move into that, we want to start with reality. Reality is always good. And we are both scientists, so we love formulas. Numbers are your friend.
Numbers cannot lie. Only
yeah, exactly.
They can be manipulated, but they cannot lie.
They can have little variables here and there, but math is pretty upfront, and this is math. So I just want to go over these numbers, and then Mr. Tuna is going to talk to you about it. 3,500 calories equals a pound of fat on your body. Now we're going to try to lose. We are going to lose. We have to start with the right verbiage. A pound. 1.7 pounds per week, because that's considered under two and under is considered safe by the research and doable. Is that, you agree with that?
Absolutely. A lot of times it depends on your starting weight, but generally speaking, 2 pounds per week is a very reasonable and attainable goal for everybody, I think.
Okay, so we're going for that number then. So 1 pound is 3,500. 0.7 pounds is 2,450. So if you add 1 pound and 0.7 pounds, you get 5,950 calories per week that you have to go negative in your calorie count to be able to burn that off. So that, if you divide that 6,000 by 7, there's 7 days in a week, you get 857. That means 860 calories per day you have to decrease of what you naturally burn in a day.
Right, and those are a lot of numbers to remember, but what it's essentially breaking down for us is that idea of calories in and calories out. Okay, so the only way we're going to be able to encourage our bodies to burn the fuel that's already inside of us is to have a calorie deficit, so that we're burning more fuel than we're taking in, and that's really just what that is breaking down for us.
So it's really physics.
Yeah.
It's like the fuel in your car.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you overfill it, you're burning it, you're filling it, you're burning it, you're filling it.
Mm-hmm.
But we want a deficit.
Right.
So that's that deficit mathematically needs to be somewhere around 860 calories per day. So a regular person burns, just naturally burns 1,600 to 2,000 calories per day. That's your maintaining calorie count.
Mm-hmm.
You'll stay in maintenance at count. So we have to subtract 800 from 1,600, and we end up with about 1,140 calories per day is your intake when you do that kind of math.
Right. Yeah, and that can be accomplished, and a lot of times people look at those kind of calorie counts, and they're not used to counting calories. That's something that we can talk about as well, and I would also encourage you to reach out with questions on the Facebook group. If you have questions about counting calories, counting macronutrients like fat, protein, carbohydrates, all those things are really important too. So yeah, if you're having questions while you're watching this, jot them down and make sure you post them. So.
Chris, yesterday I got a salad because I'm like, I'm gonna eat, and the salad dressing in the packet was 300 calories. I'm like, that's a third of my calorie count.
Yeah.
That was not a good choice.
It's actually more calories than the salad itself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm going to skip that and get the vegetables that were cut. So you get to make a choice. If I want to eat that, I can. But I've got to admit that's a third of my calorie intake.
Right. And there are a lot of choices to make. There are modifications that you can make too. There are lower fat options. There's oil and vinegar. It depends on where you are, what stores. Especially around here, when where. Often, what food you have access to is directly associated with just what village you're in, how close you are to city centers. So it's very variable in what you can actually obtain. So asking about variation is also really important too.
And so you're going to guide us through this path. We're going to really work on it. I'm going to post Chris's interviews. They'll always be day 5 on your list, and so you can pre-watch any of those. I'm going to post them as fast as I can so that people can get this information as fast as they can. But we are going to space them out so that you can put your questions on Facebook, and we want to directly answer your questions. I know I have a lot of questions, and so we are going to, the topics we're going to go over are fasting, intermittent diets, keto. That's actually going to be our next video, our next interview, because about disease. What are these? And then we do want to go over body image, breaking plateaus, diet pills, starving yourself, and listening to the scale. Actually, address listening to the scale too much right now.
Sure. A lot of people get very wrapped up in weight loss. That's kind of what this is about as well, and they lose the value of what we're really saying. We're trying to lose fat mass. That's what we're trying to lose. I tell people sometimes, I could go to the barber and get a haircut, and I've lost weight. So it's very important to not be so attached to the scale. Your weight is going to fluctuate, especially depending on what diet you choose to follow. You want to obtain that calorie deficit, but we're going to be talking about all these different types of diets as well. Some of them are going to be good for you, and some of them are going to be what's called contraindicated for you. So they really wouldn't be something that I would recommend for you. But that's something that's going to be very personalized. But your weight will fluctuate from day to day. The idea is to achieve that 2 pounds per week goal. So what I would recommend is only weighing yourself once, maybe at most twice per week, to really give yourself a mental breather, a mental reprieve from the stress that can really come from watching the scale move day to day. I remember, before I received a lot of my education and a lot of my experience, when I was on my weight loss journeys, I would look at the scale 3-4 times per day, every single day. And I would be very disappointed
And stressed.
It would,
and that raises your cortisol, which that
absolutely
lowers your, lowers your ability to lose weight.
Yeah,
Cortisol's not a friend.
Yeah, cortisol. Cortisol is one of the stress hormones that is associated with weight gain.
Okay. There you go. Stay off the scale. And also, I wanted to address trying to outrun your intake.
That's another question that I see come up a lot as well. Oftentimes people, it's kind of counterintuitive because they would rather bust their hump in the gym versus not have a can of Coke or something like that. It's very difficult to outrun your diet. What's called outrunning your diet.
Like literally running is
Right.
what we're talking about. Yeah. Out-jog your diet.
Trying to eat 5 pizza pies a day, and then trying to get on the treadmill last minute, to burn all of it off before you go to bed. That's not going to work very well for you. And there are a lot of reasons why that doesn't work. One of the reasons why, number one, is it's kind of defeating the purpose of calories in, calories out. But it's also physiologically, your body uses fuel differently, and different types of fuel in your body differently at different points in the day, and also depending on what you're doing. So it's very difficult to regulate.
It's so difficult, and we've all tried it. We have all tried it, and what happens is you're just grinding your joints into the ground when you go, okay, I ate 5,000 calories, so now I'm going to run for 2 hours.
Right.
And that is, you're going into stress again. You're stressing out the body to do that. And so the research does show, I hope you'll validate this, is weight loss, the best weight loss. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry between the diet pills and this is huge. We have done so much research on this subject. We know this one. It's 80% nutrition and 20% exercise.
Absolutely, yeah.
So this piece is the key to the weight loss. And the exercise, the 20%, I just realized it yesterday, that 20%, not only does it increase muscle mass, but it helps burn the calories. Some calories, like 100, 200 calories. So that gives you, a little wiggle room in our calorie count.
Yeah, your resting metabolic rate, the amount of calories that you burn just sitting around doing nothing, increases the more lean tissue that you have, the more muscle mass that you have. Muscle is much more metabolically active than fat mass. Fat doesn't really do anything. Fat cells do produce some hormones, but as far as being metabolically active, doing processes, they don't really burn much energy. Muscles, they're very fuel.
Muscles are like the tires on the car.
Right.
They're
very
moving.
Fuel hungry.
They're hungry. They're fuel hungry.
Yeah.
So we want them.
Yes.
And so the exercise component is definitely going to contribute to that. And then also, like, just going up the stairs may burn 15 calories. Going up and down may burn 25 calories, but those calories add up.
Yes, they do. Absolutely. And just doing that, those types of things raises your metabolism, above what it normally would be. And if you were to be on a treadmill for a half an hour, your metabolism isn't elevated for only 30 minutes. Your metabolism is elevated for an hour or 2 hours, maybe after you exercise.
We like that.
So you are burning calories long afterwards. Especially if you're incorporating toning exercises like resistance training, things like that.
And we're doing yoga and Pilates, and even Tai Chi seems so simple, but it is movement of those.
Yeah.
It's not a big upfront calorie burn. You can't, like when I was on this is a good example. I was on the treadmill yesterday, and I go at 3.5, which is pretty brisk, 20 minutes, 100 calories. That's not much. But you're saying I continue to burn after that.
Yeah, and it is kind of unfair. So I can this is something that's important to understand too, because we are talking about the calories for females versus calories for men.
Yeah.
I'm simply going to burn more calories on that treadmill during that time than she would. I'm a male. Males tend to have thicker bones and a higher degree of muscle mass, and like we said, those things are very metabolically active. So you may have. So don't be surprised if you're on the treadmill, or you may have to do a couple extra minutes or anything like that, to burn the same amount of calories. Don't get discouraged. We're all different, but we're all going to reach the same goal together. So.
And along those lines, can anybody lose weight?
Anybody can lose weight. Absolutely.
I'm like a myth. I get so many people in the clinic going, I can't lose weight. I'm in menopause. I can't. That is just a flat out lie. That is not true. That is not true. Correct?
Right. Yeah. Anybody can lose weight. It just, let's all be honest with ourselves. Some people have a tougher time than other people.
Like you and me.
Right. Yeah.
We struggle.
Yeah. I definitely struggle, but I also know people that don't struggle at all with their weight.
Yes.
And
like my sister.
Yeah.
My own genetic identical, replica can eat candy bars all day long and be this big around.
Mm-hmm. But we're here to work. We have committed ourselves to a hard-working life and a hard goals.
And that's
to
okay
attain.
because we don't eat candy bars all day long because I can't afford it.
Yeah.
I would be the size of a barn if I did that. So I look at it as my body's a little smarter than hers.
There you go. There you go. More, better trained.
And I have to train it. I have to be aware of what goes into my mouth. And so, we're going to get after that, and we're going to see you next time and talk about some really interesting, the intermittent fasting and the ketos and that ketos are high protein, low carb diets. There's a string of them, right?
Yeah. Typically, you're going to be hard pressed to find diets that being sold that are not either low carb or low fat, or a combination of the two. Oh yeah,
there's low fat too. I did, and in the 90s, that's what it was.
There's also very, very high fat with the Mediterranean diet. There's a ton of different things that we can touch on.
Well, we're going to approach that on our next visit. Okay?
Yes.
So thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next interview.